Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, MPs in South Sudan vote to extend the mandate of President Salva Kiir's government for an extra 3 years, a move that's likely to complicate peace negotiations to bring an end to 4 years of civil war. Also, Cameroon investigates a video circulating online that appears to show men in military uniform shooting 2 women and 2 children dead for being suspected members of the Islamist group Boko Haram. Yaoundé denies that the men are from its military. And Nigerian athletes are also looking ahead to some big games. They're a little further off, but the country's Amputee Football World Cup is coming up in October, and it'll be in Mexico, and the Nigerian squad's certain it can last longer than the Super Eagles did in Russia. We take a look at their preparations. But first, South Sudan's parliament unanimously voted to extend the mandate of President Salva Kiir until 2021. Elections had been due to be held this year, but a devastating civil war has made holding polls impossible. Juba insists that extending Kiir's mandate will actually make it easier to negotiate for peace. Conflict broke out in 2013, sparked by rivalry between Kiir and his former deputy, Riek Machar. Now, the two sides have agreed to yet another truce as they discuss peace proposals. Previous attempts have quickly fallen by the wayside, and Kiir's extended time in office will strain these latest efforts. Julia Stayers, our regional correspondent, joins us now with more. Julia, what is this likely to do to ongoing peace talks?
Well, rebel leader Riek Machar's opposition group said immediately after the move that it was underhanded. They said it clearly shows that President Kiir is not interested in finding a peaceful resolution to these talks. And they basically called it an illegal power grab. Now, of course, as you said, the government said it's a necessary move given the situation on the ground, given that elections cannot be held in these current conditions and that a government has to remain in place. Now, importantly, international diplomats and analysts have been quick to point out in the last few hours that it does not actually take away from what the substance of what is being discussed at these peace talks. So what is being discussed there is a potential power sharing agreement between Machar and President Kiir that would result in a transitional government that would take the country up until the point where peace is established and elections can be held, most likely in 2021. So they say that it hasn't actually dismantled the possible arrangement that could come out of these talks. Now, that said, the opposition's rhetoric and the optics of it as an illegal power grab certainly throw cold water on these ongoing peace talks, which, of course, were quite fragile to begin with.
Now, as you mentioned, there's a lot of international attention on the efforts to bring peace to South Sudan. A lot of hopes that this time efforts to revitalize the peace process will be different and pay off. But what is the situation in South Sudan itself? Has any of this made much of a difference to the conflict on the ground?
Right. As you said, regional leaders have been meeting with these leaders in Ethiopia, in Uganda, and now in Sudan to try and find a solution. But the situation on the ground perhaps calls into question the viability of that solution even more than this extension of Kiir's power. Both sides, Kiir and Machar, signed a permanent ceasefire just last month. Within hours of them signing, it was violated by both sides. And then this week, we've had reports from Machar's side that they were attacked by government forces just today. Government military spokesmen say that they were attacked by rebels earlier this week. What is clear is that there's ongoing violence on the ground. There are accusations flying from both sides, and many people in the region say that that calls into question whether or not a power sharing deal is even possible, or that anything can come out of these peace talks, even more than Kiir extending his power.
Thanks very much. Julia Stayers there for us. Look now at some other news. Cameroon's denied that apparent soldiers shown shooting civilians dead in a viral video are from its army. Yaoundé says that the footage of men accusing women and children of being members of the extremist group Boko Haram and then killing them is fake news, and that the uniforms the men are wearing are not from the Camerooni military. And the government's ordered an investigation into the video. Indira Ayok tells us more.
The horrific video, which emerged over the weekend and has been making the rounds for the past week on social media and other news outlets, portrays 2 women and 2 children, including a baby, being tortured and finally executed by heavily armed men in a military uniform. Now, the uniform has been likened to that of the Cameroon military. Now, this horrific video is coming at a time when the Cameroon military has been heavily criticized by rights groups for violating human rights of purported Boko Haram militants and very recently of separatists in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. One of such videos popped up late last month portraying the Cameroon military torturing and finally executing a supposed leader of the Ambazonian Defense Forces who are fighting for secession in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Now, reacting to the video, the government spokesman has attributed it to detractors and persons whose aim is to tarnish the reputation of the Cameroon military. It should be noted that this is not the first time that the Cameroon military has been accused of grossly violating the rights of persons in conflict with them in Cameroon and even around the country.
Dear Ayek there for us. Look at some other news. Several people, including civilians, have reportedly been killed in Cameroon's southwest, with gunfire being heard throughout Wednesday night. The region and parts of the English-speaking northwest have been particularly tense this week. Anglophone secessionists want to break away from the French-speaking majority. A culpable homicide hearing against the son of South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma was opened and adjourned on Thursday. DUDUZANE Zuma initially avoided prosecution after 2 people died when his sports car ploughed into a minivan in 2014. But he was summoned to court last week to answer charges. Supporters of Jacob Zuma say that DUDUZANE is the victim of a political vendetta. He was also on court in Monday to face corruption charges linked to his father's government. Now, time to take a look at football fever. And I am not talking about France's preparation for its World Cup final this weekend. Nigerian athletes are also looking ahead to some big games. They're a little further off, but the country's Amputee Football World Cup is coming up in October. That'll be in Mexico, and the Nigerian squad is certain that they can last longer in their tournament than the Super Eagles did in Russia. Take a look.
Emmanuel Ibeawuchi is the captain of Nigeria's national football amputee team. He lost a leg 16 years ago in a road accident and only started playing football after his leg was amputated. He's confident Nigeria will win the next Amputee Football World Cup.
Today now, we are planning for the World Cup, the biggest tournament in the world. And we are very grateful and we are glad and we are happy that Nigeria, we are going for the tournament. Not even only going, I believe we are going there to bring the cup home.
The team's coach says his squad will do better than Nigeria at the Russian World Cup this year. They failed to qualify from the group stage.
We have put in them that they should see themselves as equally good as a normal, an unable person, and they know they can do that. So since then, all of them, they have the confidence now that they can even do better than the able body.
Nigeria won 8 gold medals at the 2016 Paralympics and finished top in the medal table among African countries. Now they hope to clinch the Amputee Football World Cup that will take place in Mexico in 3 months' time.
And the first black South African woman to play at Wimbledon has got off to a strong start. Bukatsu Montjane beat Germany's Katharina Kruger by 2-1 on Thursday. She has been receiving congratulations from every corner, including from President Cyril Ramaphosa. She'll now face top seed Diede de Groot of the Netherlands for a place in the wheelchair singles final. Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again when you can. Take care.
Here at France 24, we're taking a broad outlook by talking about the women who are reshaping our world.
En France 24 en español no tenemos temas vedados. Y eso se puede ver en televisión y en todas las plataformas que tenemos en Internet.
في فرنسا 24 لا ننسى ونحجز لكم أسبوعيا تذكرة عودة للمدن والمناطق التي كانت في قلب الأحداث قبل أن تدخل في طي النسيان.
France 24, c'est la recherche permanente des meilleurs spécialistes pour vous permettre de déchiffrer l'actualité.
Claro que tiene algo especial, somos todos de distintos países y trabajamos con todo el corazón para entregar información en el momento preciso.
أخبار سياسية واقتصادية وثقافية وأيضا رياضية بأعين خبراء رياضيين. هذه هي قناة France 24.